Alright, I just finished watching WrestleMania, and I'd like to get my thoughts off on it. It was a peaks and valleys show if I was to ever call it one, and on the whole, I guess I would call it not horrible, maybe bad. No, I wouldn't call it good by any means, but at the same time, I wouldn't call it atrocious, because there were some very, very good spots. The pre-match, the dark match... I only was able to catch the end of it because they didn't really announce when this was going to be on, just, oh, before the show. But that was vague. I thought it was going to be like 20 minutes before. It was actually something like 35 minutes before, so I only caught the ending, which was actually really good. It was actually a really good showcase, the parts I saw anyway. It was actually a pretty good showcase between Epico, Primo, Justin Gabriel, Tyson Kidd, and the Usos. But Epico and Primo retain with actually a pretty cool ending. I got to admit, like, even though I didn't get to see the whole thing, the ending was at least actually pretty memorable. I wish it was actually on the card. So the show kicked off with something that I'm sure it's pissing off ROH marks, but it pissed me off to no end. Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan opening the card. First of all, who the hell started doing this, decided this would be a good idea to start you with your World Heavyweight Championship in the opening match? That completely devalues the fucking title. Oh, man, and it completely it actually devalues the Royal Rumble in that sense, too, because isn't the winner of the Royal Rumble supposed to be the main event? I know nothing was going to supersede Cena and Rock, but higher than the first fucking card, at least. God. And, Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan. It was a squash match. And no, I'm not fucking joking. Like, Daniel Bryan goes to get a kiss from AJ, turns around, gets bro kicked by Sheamus, gets pinned 1, 2, 3. What kind of bullshit was that? Alright? Like, why? Why the fuck would you have a match this damn short? Like, for a World Heavyweight Championship, Sheamus could have gone out there, like, struggled, been the underdog somehow, and fucking come back and fucking cement himself as a true main eventer in the WWE. As it stands, all it did was make Daniel Bryan look worse. Alright? Like, Sheamus actually looks like he just got a lucky hit. Both these guys are worse for having competed in this match. How are they gonna resurrect Daniel Bryan from this? Sheamus didn't really prove anything. Ah, man. It really makes the fucking World Heavyweight Championship feel completely paper. God. Easily. This is the worst match of the show. I'm gonna say this now. Worst match of the show. I was pissed. The official time here is 18 seconds. This match got me so damn pissed that I actually could not actually appreciate the next match. Kane versus Randy Orton. I was watching it all the way through. Assuming I was in a better state of mind, I think it would have been at least a good or an okay match. But I was fucking reeling from the previous match. Like, I was so fucking pissed. God. But I do think the result here was good. Like, the booking in this next match in Kane versus Randy Orton was good. Like, throughout the whole match, Orton actually did look like an aggressor against Kane. They actually did a decent job of making Kane look like a monster, but also making it look like Randy Orton could hang with him. My biggest complaint was that this match, I think it should have gone on a little longer. But I don't really have too many complaints about it. I think the right guy won in Kane. The next pay-per-view is Extreme Rules. I see this feud continuing, and I think Randy Orton can get a very good victory at the next pay-per-view, and it would actually feel very good. Big Show versus Cody Rhodes for the Intercontinental title. Another case of too short, but thankfully there was actually a time to showcase fucking Cody Rhodes. Like, but the thing is, this match was still only about 5 minutes. Cody kept Big Show down for a bit. Big Show kept Cody down for a bit. Then Cody tried a disaster kick, or no, I think he tried like a cross body. Oh no, yeah, he tried a disaster kick, got speared in midair, then got the knockout punch. Boom, he lost the Intercontinental title. It was a 5-minute match. Cody did not look good enough in this match. Like, if I could tell they're trying to build up Cody Rhodes as a main eventer, but they just didn't do a good enough job. Big Show's the new Intercontinental Champion, as though he needs it. I'll admit that this does kind of relieve that moment, that the idea behind Big Show's embarrassing WrestleMania moments, that finally he has a WrestleMania where he's not simply a background person, or he's not simply embarrassing. But why did it have to be at the expense of Cody Rhodes? I think they could have just had a great match and that's it. But I'm pretty sure the problem they had was that they were limited on time. And I would like to mention something. They kept having these backstage segments between, like, the one with Team Johnny makes sense. I tuned out of it because I was so pissed about Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan. But the one I remember, like, completely tuning out was the obvious Deadliest Catch, like, cash-in thing. Because out of nowhere, they just brought in this segment with Santino, some dude from Deadliest Catch, and Mick Foley, where they're eating crabs, and it was unbearable. And that reminds me of another thing. This whole card, I swear, WrestleMania was like 10% videos. I remember doing this, watching it when I watched Royal Rumble, and I actually paid for Royal Rumble, so I was pissed off when I saw this. There were, like, I swear, video package after video package. I was watching it with my sister, and she actually pointed out the thing that she saw the most was video packages. I swear, I paid for that Royal Rumble. I didn't pay to see fucking video packages. And assuming I paid for this, I would have been pissed off here too. Though I'm not going to go into detail of that because I don't want people to track me down. Next match. Anyway, back to the actual card. Kelly Carey versus Maria Menounos, I don't know how to pronounce the name, beat Beth Phoenix and Eve. This match was actually not as bad as I thought it would be. Kelly actually did some pretty good moves. Like, I remember she actually did a good rolling pin. She did the Molly go round of all things, which I thought which actually surprised the hell out of me. But, but yeah, celebrity involvement, she really didn't do much besides just kind of play dead. The way that she actually won on Beth Phoenix, actually, it was a pretty good way to do it. It was more like Beth was just kind of disoriented for a second, and she got the schoolboy in, 1, 2, 3, go. It's a good way to actually make Beth Phoenix not look bad while still having the celebrity go over in some way. So I actually don't have any complaints about this match. And I'm not sure if I said this, but even though I disagree with the length, Big Show versus Cody Rhodes, I didn't think it was a bad match. And I called it that this would be the best match on the card. And I can fucking tell you why it was the best match on the card. It got the most time. Undertaker versus Triple H in a Hell in a Cell with HBK as a special guest referee. I really wish they would have continued how they started in the beginning. Like, in the beginning, they were just kind of, they were actually using the cell as a weapon. But later on, it was all in the ring, and it kind of just it kind of just became the same way that last year's ended. But it went in a different way. It went from showing Undertaker as, oh, he's pathetic, please end it. It's like, just kill it like a dog or whatever. But then Undertaker came back and did the same thing on Triple H. The involvement with Shawn Michaels actually felt like it fit. At one point, he super kicked the crap out of the Undertaker. And the ending, like the way they ended it with just all three of them just kind of carrying each other the way out, it actually did feel like a very fitting way to end something where they advertised it as the end of an era. Great match. The only thing is, like, there's not really much else these two can go from, and not even Shawn Michaels. But this is I'd call this a closure match. this match was just tense from beginning, but at the end, it kind of gave you this really nice. It gave me this nice sense of closure that that Triple H, even with all the shit he did, had still kind of had a deserving ending. Undertaker, being as triumphant as he was at the end, also had another deserving ending, and Shawn Michaels was there to witness it. It actually did feel. I'd say this is the most defining WrestleMania moment they had here, and easily match of the night. I also have to say that Undertaker versus Triple H, I think it should have been much higher on the card because it was an exhausting match. It was so tense that every second just kind of tired you out, and it was really hard to really follow that up in any way. Even trying to get around that and trying to get out of the mind frame of the crowd. This next match wasn't that good. Team Johnny versus Team Teddy Long. It seemed like from the beginning they were trying to water down the team members, because here's the thing: they didn't even give these guys proper entrances. They were more focused on Teddy Long and Johnny Ace, and this match, it was so slow, and the ending was just kind of there. It seemed like the biggest focus was on fucking Eve Torres of all people, and it ended kind of the way I said. The biggest heat getter, Miz, won the match for Johnny Ace. But I think it happened too early. The match should have gone on much longer. Like, I think everyone should have gotten much more offense, because they basically got no offense at all in a lot of the match. My main man, Kofi, did almost nothing. Kofi should have been the star here. Ziggler should have been the star. McIntyre should have made a big comeback from his burial. Santino should have been fucking legitimized, but they didn't do any of that. The match only went on for 10 minutes, which, with this sort of thing, it just doesn't fit. It just didn't work. I would definitely call this a bad match. It was embarrassing. I knew the crowd wasn't into it. That might not be fair to hold it up against this match, because they were all tired from the previous one, but yeah, they didn't care, and neither did I. Now, in between Johnny Ace's team winning and the next match, Johnny Ace actually came up to CM Punk, because Johnny Ace's team won, so Johnny Ace is now the general manager of both Raw and SmackDown. He came up to CM Punk and said, "Hey, Punk, well, you look like you're a little too mad. So, here's the thing. If you get too mad and you get yourself disqualified, Chris Jericho wins the title." And I thought that was a really good way to go into the next match, because it added another dimension of something against CM Punk to win. And I thought the way they incorporated it in the beginning, I thought that was a good way to do it, because you saw Jericho trolling the fuck out of CM Punk. My attention was a little divided because I was still a little exhausted from Undertaker vs. Triple H, and also I was trying to watch something which I missed earlier today. But everything I saw from the second half of CM Punk vs. Jericho, it looked like a very good match. And even the spots where I was just kind of half watching WrestleMania, I was still very impressed by what CM Punk and Chris Jericho could do. Easily, it's probably, I call it the second best match of the night. Jericho made CM Punk look great, as he tends to do. He's the guy who I notice tends to job the best for other people. CM Punk made himself look very good. The crowd wasn't quite into it as much as I hoped, and actually I thought they were kind of pro Jericho for a bit. But yeah, I definitely liked this match. Second best match of the night. Now I'm going to root this back to the first match, but between CM Punk versus Chris Jericho and Rock versus Cena, they had what had to be the fucking prime definition of filler going on. They had Brodus Clay come out. Now, if he had like a cool little fun dancing number to ease it up and try to make himself and try to entertain the crowd in between these two matches, I thought that would have been acceptable. But they brought out, like, he said, "Oh, here comes my mama," and then, like, oh god, they brought out all these women dressed up, old women dressed up as grandmas, and they just started fucking dancing. It was just another way to fill out 7 minutes. And then before Rock and Cena's entrances, they each respectively had somebody singing one of the themes of WrestleMania right before their entrances. Yes, that's right. Cena and Rock's entrances had entrances. And the reason I bring this up for Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan is in that embarrassing section of Brodus Clay and that unnecessary music like concert for Rock and Cena, they could have fucking had a match between Daniel Bryan and Sheamus. Fuck. And that's the really frustrating thing about this whole thing. And that kind of put me into the wrong mindset when Rock and Cena started. But not that they really helped it. Rock and Cena, for some reason in this match, looked very... oh, wait, I forgot. Why do I keep forgetting to say this? CM Punk beat Chris Jericho. I could argue that Jericho with the title could have been a better long-term deal, but with the strength of character of these two, I think they could pull it off some other way. As for Rock versus Cena, Cena for some reason looked like he was very slow in the beginning, and that's actually very weird out of Cena. Normally he actually kind of rushes things, but here he was actually slow. I'm not sure how well that really affected the pacing of the match, but it basically put Cena into the role of a heel where Rock was supposed to be a huge babyface. It's pretty much the prime example of it started a little too slow, but as it escalated, it actually got much better at the end. And I would probably call it the third best match of the night. Did Rock make Cena look good? That's debatable. Rock gave Cena the room to make himself look good, and I don't think Cena did a good enough job of making himself look good. I don't think he made himself, like, charismatic enough. I don't think he made himself stand out enough. But I think this match had a lot of memorable moments. The psychology was actually pretty good. But there was one bit of a problem. Like, you could just tell that the crowd did not believe it at all when Rock hit one rock bottom and Cena hit one attitude adjustment. The crowd knew that they were kicking out, and I attribute this mainly to the fact that Taker and Triple H and CM Punk and Chris Jericho had very similar situations where both guys kicked out of their finishers. I really do think that WWE needs to start doing things where one finisher, done, but it has to be like after like a series of reversals or whatever, so that the finishers start to mean more. But yeah, I would definitely call this a good match. I would put it above Kane versus Orton, which I would probably call the fourth best match of the night. But I wouldn't say it's better than CM Punk versus Jericho, because I thought their match was better. Rock actually wins over Cena, and Cena doesn't really do anything after the match. He just kind of sits there like a sitting duck. He really didn't do anything. Maybe that was the ultimate swerve. Rock won. You're expecting something? Swerve! But I'm assuming they're going to do something on Raw, just like last year. But overall, this WrestleMania, it's a peaks and valley ones if I ever saw it. Would I call it a bad WrestleMania? Well, the thing is, WrestleMania, you have a certain expectation for it to be good, and I think that's what's kind of making me think it's a bad WrestleMania. If this was any other pay-per-view, I would have called it meh. But, like, because it's WrestleMania, it does kind of push it into the bad category. Definitely check out Taker versus Triple H if you can find it. CM Punk versus Jericho if you can find it. And Rock versus Cena if you can find it. But Big Show versus Rhodes was too short. Kane versus Orton, it was all right, but it was too short. Actually, I would say give Kane versus Orton a chance. Its biggest fault was that it came after a horrible match in Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan. Kelly versus Kelly. I'm pretty sure that match it garnered the attention that it needed, but you can skip it. Team Johnny versus Team Teddy, forgettable, and I'd say it's probably Team Johnny versus Team Teddy, second worst match on the card, other than Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan. Like how would I like numerically score this? Out of 10, like I feel like it's a 4, but like I know for a fact that if this was any other pay-per-view, I'd call it a 5. But for the hype it had, it definitely is a disappointing show. But for what it is, I'll give it a 5. Did it live up to the hype? No, just like last year didn't. I really hope they get better, but Vince is not a wrestling fan, and I don't think he's trying to make other people ones. Thanks for watching. I've been Mr. Sanders. Peace out.